Well, hello there, my kindred spirits. I am so glad that you came back to see me today. How in the world have y'all been? I hope that every one of you are doing great. Now, if you turned on this video because you wanted some quiet time and maybe just to hear somebody talking in the background, I've got the perfect video for you today. I'm not going to show you anything, so if you need to study or you just need the sound of somebody kind of talking on and you just need the sound to help you sleep or relax, you can just turn that phone over. If you're listening from your phone, you don't even have to look at the video. Just listen to the sound of my voice because I'm going to be calm and quiet today, and I'm just going to tell you some fun things, and maybe it'll be interesting to you, but most of all, I hope it is relaxing for you. So anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit today about some things that we've got going on, but then also I wanted to talk to you about the concept of the family meal table. Now, this idea came to me years and years ago because I'm from the South and food is kind of my love language. And so if I feed you, if I fix a meal for you, that typically means that I love you or I want to nourish you and get to know you better, possibly. And so over the years, I have made a lot of different meals for different people in our lives and strangers even. And so I probably should back up because now that I just now said that, I've fixed a lot of food for strangers too. I don't really love them. Maybe I love them in the agape kind of love, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to be hospitable a lot of times too when I do that. But a lot of times people look at preparing a big meal for people as a huge deal and a sort of a stressful event. And it can be, it absolutely can be. But after you've done it a few times, you realize it's not all that hard, especially if you kind of just get a routine down and you realize that you don't have to be stressed out about things. And as a matter of fact, somebody being not as stressed out makes the meal and the whole event go much more smoothly. So I was thinking back to when I was first married, and we would on occasion have people over to our house, to our new home, to feed them. And we had a couple of other couples that we knew. And then of course I was always trying to entertain my grandparents and my parents and different friends and family, because I wanted to first of all love my family and friends, and then just try to practice new meals and cooking skills for them too. And I remember the very first time I cooked for strangers, we had some fellas come over to the house to cut down an old tree that we had. And it was a lot of work, and it was July and it was a sweaty hot day. And so I could see those guys out there working really hard. So I had just learned how to make a pineapple upside down cake, and I had thrown together some chicken salad, and I went outside and asked if they were hungry, and they said, "Yes, ma'am, we are." So I wasn't going to invite them into my home because I didn't know these people. But what I did was I set out a little table outside, and it was on the front porch, and I just put out a tablecloth and I just made it as pretty as possible. And those men sat down and had that little meal of the chicken salad, and I think I fixed them some sweet tea and then that little pineapple upside down cake. And it was fun because I sat down near them and we just talked, and they weren't even from the area, and they probably thought, what in the world is this? Well, I'm going to say I was a girl at the time. I was 22. I was very young, but I'm sure they probably thought, what in the world is going on here? But I just wanted to show appreciation, first of all, for what they were doing. And it was just nice to be able to feed a stranger. And so I encourage you to do things like that. And I know that in this day and time where everyone is a little bit more afraid of people, and I wonder though if that's really, I don't want to tell you to do anything that you are uncomfortable with, but we'll back it back up, and I'll tell you that maybe you can do it to people, for people that you know personally, because maybe me feeding strangers isn't something that I should encourage anybody to do who's not comfortable with it. But if you're in your community and you know people and you're not by yourself, I think it's totally fine. We've had people come out to our house here even, and we didn't know them, but we still fed them, because people appreciate being fed, and people appreciate being just a fellowship, just being treated with dignity and respect, and as a fellow human, instead of just, they're just here to do work. They're humans just like us, each other. So we need to work on fellowshipping with our fellow humans instead of keeping people at arm's length. And I think that so many of us tend to do that in this digital age because, after all, it's easier and it doesn't take as much effort. But I promise you, it is worth the effort for sure. So let me tell you a little bit about this book. First of all, this is called The Family Meal Table and Hospitality, and it's by Nancy Campbell. And she had a publication. I don't know if she still has the publication out or not. It was called Above Rubies, and it was just a little Christian magazine. And let's see when this book was written. This book was written in 1999, and I probably got it around the year 2000. I was introduced to the Campbell family. AboveRubies.org is the name of their website. And again, I don't even know if it's still in publication. Some of you may have heard about the Trim Healthy Mama series. This was back in, I want to say, 2012. Nancy Campbell's daughters wrote that book. And so they were popular for quite some time. And I think that might have been around the time that a lot of people started going gluten-free, because I'm pretty sure most all of their recipes were gluten-free. But anyway, that's just a little aside for you, just in case some of you might know who they are. But this book was instrumental in helping me learn how, well, not only how, but the why behind inviting people, strangers, friends, family, and most importantly, your own little family that you've created, and into the meal table, and preparing something nice for them to eat. And one of the things that she stressed, and I was sure to follow through, is that you don't have to fix a big fancy spread for people, because it's not about the food. It's about the hospitality. It's about the love, and it's about the fellowship. So, when we were building our house that we live in now, we lived down at the little farmhouse on our property that I've shown you before. And we were raising young children. My husband was the only one working in the family, and so we may not have had all that much money to spend on food for people, but you can make a very fine meal out of some boiled potatoes and a little salad and maybe some bread and butter. That meal can become extra grand and fancy when you do something as simple as spreading out a real pretty tablecloth, getting out your nice dishes, and setting out pretty serving pieces, and serving that food on your pretty dishes. And again, Even if you don't have pretty dishes, you can use paper plates too. It doesn't matter, because the food itself, while it is important, it's not the main thing. The main thing is that fellowship. And if you are Christian, you can take that opportunity to just show people love, and show the love of Jesus while you're there with them at that table. And again, this doesn't have to be for strangers. The most important people that you do this for is your own family and your own children. And so I wanted to read you just a couple of things out of this book that she talks about. And she talks about, here are 6 things to remember when cooking your meals. And she says, just like what I mentioned, make it simple. You don't need to cook an extravagant meal. You can do this just for special occasions. Number 2 is make it nutritious. Eliminate all refined foods. Number 3 is make it tasty. So, use spices, use things to make it tasty and good. But again, you don't have to spend a lot of money on what you've cooked. Number 4, make it full of aroma. So using spices and herbs will help draw people in when they come over. Number 5 is to make it attractive. And so that's where I talk about using the pretty plates and maybe the tablecloths and napkins. And then number 6 is to make it plenty. And she says it's better to have more than you need than not enough. And if you have extra, you can just keep it in the fridge for lunch the next day, or you can freeze it for another meal. And do you remember we talked in a video a few weeks ago about the little blessings box? I think that I had told you that I learned about that from Sally Clarkson, but I was wrong. I was mistaken. I actually learned it from Nancy Campbell, because she talked about that in this book, and it triggered a memory for me. And if you haven't seen that video, the blessing box was just this little index card box that I had written out some small little prayers or blessings on and decorated it with stickers. And so every evening, my children, we would all take turns, but my children especially, we would take turns and let them read the blessing for the evening out of that little box. And it was helpful because it taught them how to read, first of all, and then it also helped them to be grateful and to learn little prayers that they could say over their meals, and to take a moment to pause and give thanks for that meal that they were about to eat, and to bless the hands that prepared it, and to thank God for that wonderful meal that we were having together. And so, again, I would encourage you to try that tonight with your own little family, if you don't do it already, and just try to make it festive, because it's a sweet time with your kids and your spouse or your friends, just whoever you're with, your roommate. That's something too. If you are, I know a lot of you who watch the channel are college-aged girls, and I love you so much. Y'all are just precious to me. And so you probably have roommates. Do that for your precious roommates, because you don't know what type of influence that could have on those little roommates. And I know that some of you, it's April and you're going to be graduating soon, next month, or you may be just, getting out for the summer, and you can make an impact on one of their lives or all of their lives just by doing something simple like that for them. And a couple of things that I wanted to tell you too, if you are doing this for people, is 2 things that I wrote down to make sure to tell you, because this is also important. When you are having someone over, if you're having people over, I understand it's stressful. It can be stressful, especially if you've never done it before. But a few things to keep in mind. Number 1, write down everything that you plan on fixing. So again, if you plan on having a meat, oh my goodness, my nose is itching. Sorry. I don't know if y'all got pollen like crazy where you live, but it's the highest it's ever been around here, I believe. It's making my nose itch. Make a list. If you're planning on having somebody over, make a list of the foods that you want to prepare and limit it to just a few things. Limit it to a meat and a side and maybe some type of bread and a drink, and that is all. Don't go crazy your first time doing this. And so have that all written out first of all, and then maybe think about preparing something the night before or early that morning, because here's the thing, you don't want to be stressed when your company does come over. I have been to people's homes before. When I walked in the door, they were stressed out. And you don't want to do that because it makes your guests feel really bad when they walk into a stressed out hostess situation. And I mean, I understand people get stressed, but you don't want you if you're going to invite somebody into your home, you want it to be easy and you want it to be with love. And so prepare as much as possible beforehand, and then take a few minutes before your company arrives. Run upstairs, brush your teeth, comb your hair, put on some lipstick, and just close your eyes. Sit down for a few minutes and close your eyes and just take some deep breaths and say a prayer that everything will go well, and it will, but take a few moments to kind of center and get out of your head and just enjoy the time that you're having together with your friends, because they're not going to notice if you forgot to cook something, or maybe the food is a little bit later than you anticipated, because now that is important. Do have it on time. If you tell them we eat at 5:15, make sure you have that meal prepared as much as possible around that time. Don't feed them at 7 if you say to be there at 5. But don't stress about it if it's not perfectly cooked at the time exactly that you said it was going to be, because they all will understand. But again, it's about the fellowship and the being together more than it is about the food and the surroundings, as far as your table settings and things. And I hope that makes sense to you. But also, let's see what else I wanted to tell you about. Oh yeah, okay, so because I made some little notes here for you too. One other thing too that I wanted to talk to you about is, as far as feeding people, is Sunday dinners. So, you know, it used to be that people always had a big Sunday meal after church, usually with their family or extended family, and that has sort of gone to the wayside, and I am on a mission to bring it back, and I want to encourage others to bring it back too. We have in our family, but let me tell you the reason why and how it got started. So when our middle son Wesley moved away, I want to say it was 2021 when he first moved out of the house. And he just moved to Charlotte, so it wasn't that far away. It's about 45 minutes away. But I missed him, and I missed having all of us together for meals. And so I was sneakily trying to get a way to get Wesley to come back home as often as possible. And so Wesley is a traveler. He's been all over the world, and so we called it International Sunday. And so the idea was every Sunday we would pick a different country and fix a meal from that country, and maybe have some interesting fact about the country. And so one time we did Spain, and we had the let's see, I'm not going to remember the name. Is that Iberian ham? I may be wrong about that. But we had small plates, and so we served things from Spain, and then we had France, and we had Norway. I mean, every Sunday we had a different country, and it was so much fun. I wouldn't recommend starting off on something like that if you've never fixed meals for people before, because that can be big and a lot of work. But it was great because again, it brought everybody together, and it brought Wesley home, and it was just so much fun to do that. And since then we've kind of leveled it out, and it's just normal American type food, that we serve now. But all that to say, that's how the big Sunday dinners got started. And so we have had, I mean, my goodness, we have had up to 20 people over at the house on Sunday for big dinners, and it's so much fun. And we, let's see, for St. Patrick's Day just a couple of weeks ago, St. Patrick's Day was on a Monday, but we wound up having our St. Patrick's themed dinner on Sunday. And we always have the same meal every year for St. Patrick's Day. And we'll have corned beef, and we will have lamb, and we will have Irish soda bread, and we always make homemade shamrock shakes. Do y'all remember those from McDonald's? I don't know if McDonald's still serves those, but they served them when I was a kid, and my children were young too. Seems like in the last few years they changed the flavor to lime, and anyway, they were mint when I was a kid, and it was just a vanilla shake with green food coloring and with a little bit of a mint flavor, but it was so good. And so anyway, we do that, and my cousins were over, and all the kids and all their significant others, and we played kickball in the front yard and drank Guinness, had to have that Guinness beer too, and it was so much fun. And it's funny too because we started off with a very small table. As a matter of fact, I still have that table. My mother and father-in-law bought my husband and I our kitchen table when we got married, and that table's 30 years old now, but it was just a smallish table, and it's sitting down at the farmhouse now because we got a bigger table. But our bigger table seats 10 with all the leaves in it, but we wound up having to get card tables out, and we've bought some little tables from Walmart too over the years, and we have mismatched chairs, but it doesn't matter. We put everybody in the same room and put tablecloths on the table, and sometimes we have to move the furniture to accommodate everybody, but I've got a system, and we usually will use paper plates unless it's a special holiday, but having paper plates is a lot easier than having to wash all those dishes, and we just have a system, and it's a buffet style, and after we say the blessing, the women go first and then the men, and I'm usually the last to eat. I don't always eat a whole lot, but I do, don't get me wrong, I do, but I'm mostly concerned with making sure everybody else is well fed, and it's just a lot of fun. So I encourage you to do that. And if you ever have any questions about that, let me know, because I'm happy to give you some ideas and almost give you a little list, a play-by-play list of how I've done it over the years so that it runs smoothly and you can have a successful Sunday dinner as well with your family or friends or roommates. Something else that I wanted to talk to you about too that is important regarding family meals is the price of going out to eat. And I thought that this was an April Fool's joke yesterday. I really did. Now, I haven't been out to eat at McDonald's in years and years. And yesterday I was up at South Park Mall. I had to run in there to get my daughter-in-law Rachel a birthday gift. And it was around 2 o'clock, and I had been out all morning with a couple of other appointments, and I was hungry. And so I am a walking experiment with my diet because I'm trying to cure a autoimmune issue, and we can talk about that another time, but I'm always experimenting with my diet to try to see what I can eat to help with this issue. And so I am doing carnivore right now. And so I've heard a lot of people in the carnivore community talk about how McDonald's is a great place to get your burger patties. If you're just wanting to eat some meat, they'll sell you just the burger patty, and it's all beef, no fillers. So I went to the fancy McDonald's at South Park yesterday, and I was in line, and I was looking at the prices, and again, I thought it was a joke because a hamburger from McDonald's was $10.79. And I kept looking at that price thinking, that can't be real. I think the filet of fish was $11. And sure enough, that was the real price. I haven't been in so long. I just got sticker shock. I remember when hamburgers were 99 cents. It's crazy how much things have gone up. But all that to say, I was able to buy hamburger patties for 89 cents a piece. And so I bought six. I bought six hamburger patties and an unsweet tea, and I was able to eat all of my meat in the car. I felt full, satiated, and I was able to continue for the rest of the day, no problem. And I only spent like $7 for all of that, and so didn't have to eat the bread, and it was a much better bargain. So for anybody who wants to try to eat healthy, there is a tip for you. But anyway, all that to say, I got to thinking about that, how expensive that was. And so you are much better off cooking at home than you are trying to go out, especially if you have children and you're trying to feed a family on all of, with that price. That is a very expensive to try to go to McDonald's anymore to feed more than one person. But speaking of going out, let me tell you some other fun things that we've done this past week. I made a video last year about going to the Charlotte Symphony and going to the tour of homes that they have every year. And that's a fundraiser for our local symphony. What they'll do is they have either people who volunteer to have their home on one of the tours, or a lot of times they'll also have homes that are very expensive. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell y'all. Very expensive, but they're for sale. And the people typically don't live in them anymore, but they have them staged to sell. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is so fun. So last year my daughter Lainey and I went. We had so much fun. It was raining cats and dogs, but we didn't care. We had such a good time on that tour. And even though some of the homes that we toured were multi-million dollar homes last year, our favorite home of all belonged to this little designer who lived in Charlotte. And she actually lived in the home, but she was an interior designer, so she got to showcase her own home and how it was decorated. And then she got to advertise for her business, which was very smart. So that was mine and Lainey's favorite home. Well, this year we took my daughter-in-law Rachel with us, and oh my word, oh my goodness, these houses that we toured were absolutely spectacular. The tour started off with a garden tour. My husband Chris made us a map, and he put everything in order for us so that we could hit all the points, because last year we didn't have a rhyme or reason. We were just hitting every place, and we got lost, and it was kind of crazy. This year we were kind of going in a nice little order because Chris had mapped it out for us. So we started out with a garden. It's called the Serenity Garden, and it was in South Charlotte, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was 4 acres that someone had turned into a garden oasis on their property. And then after that, we went to a home in it was in the South Park area of Charlotte, and I can't remember the name of the street it was on, but anyway, it was a $6 million home. The people did not live in it anymore, but they had it staged again because it was for sale. You talk about, oh my goodness, it was spectacular how beautiful it was. Then we went to another one in the same neighborhood, and we thought that that first one was grand. This second one, it was a $13 million home. It looked like an English manor house. It looked old. It wasn't that old at all, though. And the crown moldings, the ceilings, the moldings along the doors, the style I would describe it as would be voluptuous, because crown moldings and moldings in your house, period, really make the house look extra, just really nice. But these were on another level, and they were, again, voluptuous. They were curvy, and it's not something that I have seen in a while, and so just spectacular. And the home that looked like an English manor, Oh my goodness, it had several hidden doors, hidden panels, and so you pressed on it, and one of them was into an office area that they could keep their things like their printers and their wireless routers, just things that people may not want to show, out in the middle of everything. And then they also had the kitchen was spectacular. Their butler's pantry slash laundry room was huge, and their kitchen itself was beautiful. It was wonderful. And I overheard one of the guys talking, who was part of the tour guide. He was talking to somebody who was there, and he said that the owner had stupid money. I don't know what he did, but my daughter and daughter-in-law and I were all trying to figure out, what do these people do, because we want to be part of that, because it was really something. But again, this happens every year, it seems. The home that we thought was the best home on the whole tour was one that belonged this time to an artist. And uh, she wasn't an interior designer, but she was a surface pattern designer, and she lives in the Myers Park area of Charlotte. And her home was just beautiful. It was just so charming and so beautiful, and it was so full of personality. And I'm sure that all the other homes were probably infused with personality when their owners lived there. Again, they were staged to sell. So some of the things, I guess, when they stage homes to sell, they make them look kind of vanilla and bland, so that people can see themselves living there. But I don't agree with that. I mean, what do I know? I don't know anything, and I'm not the person that they're probably trying to sell a home to. I'm not the person they're trying to sell a home to like that $13 million house. But I I would much more quickly buy a home like the two that were lived in, with all those very personal effects still in there, than these staged homes that I saw. So anyway, if your little town, wherever you live, has a tour of homes, I would encourage you to go on it if they have them in your town. The tickets typically are around $30-$40 a piece, because you know you are walking into someone's home, and they want to vet people before they come in. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want a bunch of strangers traipsing through my house. A lot of times they have them blocked off, certain sections blocked off, that they don't want people going in. But still, I wouldn't want that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a great fundraiser for the symphony or whoever is putting it on, and it's just a fun way to have a good evening with your family or friends or girlfriends, and then get ideas, because last year we got great ideas that we've implemented, some design ideas that we've implemented into our home. This year I got even more ideas, and one idea that I got is to be brave, because the artist's home that we went in, the last home that we went in, she had painted murals on her walls, and we have just recently repainted part of our downstairs, and there I wanted to paint a mural down there, but I'm a little bit scared isn't the right word. Maybe that is the right word. I'm a little apprehensive, because I want it to be perfect the first time out, and it probably won't be. But this is my home. This is not a staging area for the next potential buyers. This is my place, and I want it to be as much infused with me and my family and my husband as possible. And so even if my mural doesn't look quite right, if my trees and my birds that I paint don't look quite right, I can always paint over it and start again, right? And so anyway, that's one thing that I learned from that artist on that last tour. So that was a lot of fun. And then the very last thing I'll tell you is that we celebrated our precious daughter-in-law's birthday yesterday, and had a big time with her, and just it was a great day and a great celebration with her and her family and all of us and friends, and so we just had a big time. We went out to eat and just had a big time with her, so it was a lot of fun. So happy birthday, Rachel. All right, well, that is all I have for you today, my precious friends. Again, thank you so much for watching and being part of this channel with me. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I love to read your comments and hear from you and let you. I love when you tell me what you're up to and some of the things that are going on where you live, because it just brings us all together. And like our friend Auntie Angel says, I don't want to take from her, but she does talk about how it makes the world smaller when we all talk to each other and interact with one another. And so it's just a special feeling when all of us who, we're strangers really, but we're really not, because deep down we all kind of all want the same things in life. So anyway, I appreciate y'all so much, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Take good care, my friends. Bye bye.